Good morning, everyone, dear friends. Welcome back to the new session. This is one of the topics when EBMI mentioned to me to speak about. Thought it's best to discuss and put across to my friends some clues from my personal experience. So, for a CFO, firstly, I would like to thank EBMI for giving this opportunity for me to present and discuss a topic of this relevance amongst all of you. So, starting here with the new normal, the 2024, driven by the central elections and several other political steps, markets touching at an all-time high, and the digital payments in the last couple of years picked up and becoming a part of a new normal. So with all this exuberance, with all of this developments taking place in the economy, what is it that, how the new normal for a CFO looks like? So, just a quick thing, I think we are sticking to the conventions here. The cash management predominantly is going to involve these four elements which we have seen. And my purpose in the subsequent slide is just to take around some of the developments and some of the innovative techniques that's been deployed and used in each of these things. The current days, analyzing and ensuring capital productivity and taking corrective steps to it is pretty much a game, and there are chances that CFOs are often leading this game plan. Operating expenditure, be it employees or procurement or the regular ones, was the best way to deal with it. One thing I'm not mentioning purposefully is compliances, because as CFOs we manage compliances pretty well, and it's always a given thing. And balance sheet. So this restructuring of balance sheet to unlock some cash potential and some of the values which is available. Some of the funding mechanisms which is available from a strategic perspective. So the new normal is moving from cash preservation to cash excellence. How it is possible to generate more and more funding for the business, which is a conventional CFO funding KPI, and using the available cash in the best possible manner to ensure growth and productivity in the system. So this is the paradigm shift which, driven by the market and so many factors in the economy, we all are leading in our respective businesses. Let's see one by one some of the thoughts that I've just put together. Working capital needs to work harder. And what it means is essentially bringing a paradigm shift in the boardroom discussions, in the strategy meetings, management committee discussions, and moving the focus purely from profit and adding into it RPI, the receivables, payables, and inventory. Till the time the entire business is working towards these areas, there is nothing really material which is going to happen. So it's all about bringing a cultural change, and CFOs in today's businesses are the ones who are going to be instrumental in bringing this overall change in the system in the organization. What it also means is working closely with stakeholders, with the procurement managers, with storekeepers, with contract negotiators, salesmen, purchase people, and so many other ones who are involved in the system. Working closely and having them involved on a daily and in a bigger manner in this entire paradigm shift. What exactly do we mean in some of the instances, again from the experiences? The store manager needs to have an inventory, and they normally keep a buffer, but slowly and gradually changing the approach from having a 6 months buffer or a certain number of months buffer to just-in-time approach. It takes a little effort, it takes certain time to reach to that sort of thing, but with this, the available fund at one particular point in time is able to be utilized well. Sales team negotiating the next customer contracts on the better payment terms. So generally you have the policy of giving a certain credit days to the parties. But if you are able to give them a certain discount and negotiate better, so some of the things which are generally there. But the larger picture, sir, is that often the CEOs till some time back were given this opportunity, were given this task to bring this paradigm shift and cultural change in the organization. And I think largely it is becoming the CFO. Use of technology, I'm sure with the emergence of AI, the robotics and several other tools which we have, and we keep on having these insecurities also sometimes whether the robots are going to come over and take away our jobs or what. But on a serious and effective side, the use of technology to ensure the data analytics and its regular circulation to stakeholders. This is something which can be done in large size transactions. The number of vendors, the number of payments and receipts or compliances are on a very high side. The use of technology and data analytics can be really helpful in analyzing, in keeping it on focus, as well as circulating it to the key stakeholders, so that each one in the system is able to contribute and take corrective steps in time. So the punchline here is making the working capital work harder for you. And as long as we as CFOs are ensuring that the working capital is made thinner from the existing or from the current system, the better it is, and the more funds are available in the system, more liquidity to ensure that the future and other requirements of the organization is met properly. Smart capital allocation. So the capex requirements of the organization. And what I simply try to mean here is that you see earlier or on a regular basis, it's an annual affair. It's an annual affair starting from January till March to identify how the capital expenditure and spending of the organization is going to look like. April and May is generally the time when we have the budget sealed, and we meet only in the next year to finalize and to see how it works. The capital allocation process, if it is shortened, and from an annual affair, if it is made a monthly affair or a quarterly affair, the experience tells that the allocation and the planning becomes much more effective. You are able to have the flexibility of diverting the funds to the real priorities of the organization. But the key here is to ensure that this is done on a periodic basis and not once in a year or once in an annual basis. Using a common yardstick and evaluating the past projects to identify capital productivity. Now, whenever a project is being sanctioned and this project is of industry A and the same group is trying to do another project of capital allocation for industry B, the yardstick of the two projects is definitely going to be different because the two projects cater to two different markets and are entirely different. Until the time the organizations use different yardsticks, they are never going to have a proper priority of the projects in that sense. The profitability, IRRs, the cash flow management, all of these are the common yardsticks which must be put across in every project, knowing that every project is going to be different and with a different industry and all those things. But having a common yardstick helps us identify the productivity and the real profitability of the project. And we, as an organization, will be in a better position to identify and to zero it down which project is the one which is really the need of the organization. And ensuring that we are able to analyze the capital productivity. So if the organization, after having spent a certain amount of money, if after having done a certain kind of a project is not yielding the desired results and the productivity is looking better in other projects, then with the flexibility of doing capital allocation in a 3 months or a 6 months period, it is possible to really divert the funds into something which is serving the organization interest in a better way. So analyzing the capital productivity of each project and ensuring that we are going to stay flexible. This is really the key I would like to say about the capital allocation. I would like to just touch upon the fact that this is an emergence of several creative instruments in the balance sheets. So not the simple equity, not the simple preference shares or the redeemable preference shares as we call it, but a plethora of innovative instruments are being thought about and coming up. The non-convertible debentures, the compulsorily convertible preference shares, optionally convertible preference shares, optionally redeemable preference shares, cumulative convertible debentures, so many other instruments are coming in. Under the Ind AS and in the income tax requirements, and some of the recent rulings also show that each of these instruments have importance as far as the profitability and the taxability is concerned. So as CFOs in the capital allocation, in the funding, in the deployment plan, whenever we are designing a particular instrument, let us be aware that not only from a capital and funding point of view, but the repercussions will also be following from an accounting and taxation point of view. So whenever in the capital allocation or funding perspective, the instrument is designed, let us be aware to take a comprehensive and a more informed view to that, rather than just serving the immediate requirements of it. The operations impact, I think there's nothing major I would like to say here, but the uses of technology that we have already discussed to shorten the cash conversion cycle and making it visible. See, again, if it's on a monthly basis or on a fortnightly basis, the MIS is going to be prepared and shared with the sales head, operations head, and some of those people. And the result is going to be, deferred to the next month to have the results. Ultimately, this sort of a reporting in today's world is serving no purpose. The use of technology, AI techniques, tools, the SAP systems, oracles, and the plethora of those instruments that we have is basically to make sure that reporting is done on a real-time basis. And one example which I often quote and which even today is holding a relevance is, you ask the sales guy and he will tell you the sales number till yesterday's evening 6 o'clock closure of office hours up to 4 decimal places. But you ask the same guy what is the profit in the organization and he's clueless. And he often says that profitability is the job of the accounting department. That till the time the guys who are driving your sales and the entire business operations are not involved and they are holding this kind of approach, till that time it is going to be working with a gap and not having really the kind of change which is needed in the current times to make organization effective. So the usage of these techniques and tools to ensure that the information and reporting flows in a swift manner on a regular, periodic, daily basis. And I think with this and involvement of more and more stakeholders into the system, it is possible to really create an atmosphere which is bringing better results with the same resources to the organization. One thing I would like to again say that with the exceeding roles of CFOs, and not only just a guy who just is responsible for raising the capital or the guy who's keeping the scorecard of the company, whether you're making profits and loss and preparing the profit and loss and balance sheet, but often as a culture manager, often as an IT system manager. These are generally the roles which are given to the CFOs. So more than the accountants and more than the tax people and the legal people who we used to have in our teams, and we continue to have those, I think optimizing the finance functions and adding better resources and different skill sets within the team of finance is also something which is needed. A lot of times, including myself, I've seen a lot of our friends shying away and not taking it as a responsibility, but sooner or later it is better that we keep optimizing and keep building up the strengths of our finance department. We'll be able to take better challenges and we'll be able to do a better job in it. Unlocking cash from the balance sheet. So just like to mention a few quick points here. See, the analysis of receivables and payables, this I've seen, but punchline is to make more and more people aware and participate in the system. So it's about the stakeholder management. Reimagine or divest underperforming long-term assets. Because of the lack of information or the subject of underperforming asset is so critical that perhaps in the organization, CFO is the only guy who can raise his voice about it. So one thing is about the identification, and then secondly having the courage or the way to deal with it and present it properly for the corrective steps to the management. I think this is something which is more of a behavioral change which is needed, and not just as a pure scorekeeper or accountant, but be able to analyze that which asset is resulting in the organization's, is serving the organization's interest in a better way, and which is the one which is not, and be able to take corrective steps is something which is needed. And as long as we are able to do that, it will result in a very effective cash management strategy for the company. The trapped cash and accelerate returns from partnerships. See, from my personal experience, in cases of joint ventures, a holding company having a subsidiary company down below. Now the subsidiary company is performing well and it is having certain cash strapped into it. The cash from subsidiary company to holding company, when it has to come, it takes a certain tax cost, which is often a leakage. Because of this reason, sometimes the organizations don't take a decision and the cash is trapped in the subsidiary company. There are often instances where you see, for example, an advance is given to somebody and the contract is cancelled. The funding was done in the subsidiary company, in the joint venture company. There are so many reasons because of which the cash is trapped down below within the system and it's not reaching out to the right stakeholder. See, it's about a behavioral change ultimately. It's not a simple concept to deal with. It will call for a cost. It will call for a discussion. It will go for a very difficult procedure. The CFO is mostly not seen in the proper light in that case within the organization. But managing the cash which is trapped, this is again something I would like to highlight. The credit support strategically, we all have the bank limits, be able to manage it. The construction payments, the EPC contracting that we do for our project purposes, so many things. So analyzing and managing the credit support on strategic manner. Reduce the long-term operating liabilities, and if you are able to generate some little surplus, make sure that you're often paying it off your liabilities, or at least with refinancing of the same loans again and again, you are able to increase the duration or reduce the tax liability, which we all do. And alternative for funding of pension obligations and employee schemes, etc. So some of the things that we can do. So effectively, it's basically the same thing I would like to leave about the working capital management, the balance sheet, profit and loss, and capital allocation. And I think the message I would like to summarize here is the cultural change in CFO is a main driver of that in current times. With the available resources, tools, kits, everything available, I think this is something for all of us to look at more carefully and strategically in our organization. I'd like to thank once again.
Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Requesting you to please be on the stage.